everyone, it's Sarah here. Welcome back. I decided today that I was going to wrap up the books that I've read in the beginning part of October, which honestly haven't been all that many, in preparation for Dewey's 24-hour readathon that is happening this Saturday. I do tend to participate pretty heavily in that, and I didn't want to have to wrap up too many books all at one time. The first book that I finished was On Beauty by Zadie Smith. This book is about two families, the Kipps and the Belseys. The Kipps are a conservative black family from London that do end up moving to the United States later on in the book. And the Belseys are an interracial couple with 3 children. And the father is from London and the mother is from the United States. And they are very liberal. The men in the families are both intellectuals and teach at colleges, and they are basically in a feud. So this book is really about race relations, and it was difficult for me to read. I actually started this book during the Diversathon. It was a very interesting book. It was very hard for me to settle into, and I hated every character. They were all terrible people, with maybe the exception of Kiki. I did kind of like her a little bit. All of them are awful. I would never want them as my friends. Like, I couldn't even imagine it. It is a testament to Zadie Smith's writing that I finished this book, because her writing is so incredibly powerful and it sucks you in so much that you need to know what happens to these awful people. I ended up giving this book 4 stars, I think, mostly because the writing was so good. The story was interesting, but it was definitely character driven and a little bit slow. So if this is your jam, if you haven't read her, then you do need to, because she is a fantastic author. The next book that I read, I've already brought back to the library, Razor Girl by Carl Hiaasen. And he is one of my favorite authors. I really enjoy satire. That's what he writes. Mostly satire set in Florida, around the Everglades and the Florida Keys. And he does a marvelous job. This is the second book featuring a detective. Well, he's not a detective anymore. Former detective Rick Yancey, I want to believe. Yancey, I know, is his last name. And the shenanigans that happen. Anyway, in this book, which is the next book after Bad Monkey, Rick Yancey really wants his badge back. He's stuck on Roach Patrol, which in itself is a very interesting element to the book because it's gross. And he thinks he can solve this high-profile murder case and get his badge back. It's really hard to describe Carl Hiaasen's books because so many different characters that are all incredibly hilarious come together and kind of intermingle together to create this craziness. Some people are not even really related to the crimes that are happening. They're just innocent bystanders, and they happen to get interwoven into this. So I can't really describe the plot to you, but I really enjoyed it. You know when a book opens up with a deliberate bumping accident and the girl is shaving down there, that it's gonna be a funny one, and this was no exception. It is 4 stars from me. The next book that I finished with my daughter. It's an audiobook. We finished Where the Mountain Meets the Moon by Grace Lin. Audiobooks tend to take us a little while, so I think it took us a couple months to listen to this, even though it's pretty short. But this is the story of Ming Li. She runs away from home to find the old man in the moon who can grant luck and answer questions to people. And along the way, she meets all sorts of people, and and the author intertwines the old Chinese folklore into the book. And this book was fantastic. I cried a few tears at the end. Yeah, this is a good book. I highly recommend this for young people. I think that everyone should read this book because it's very important and teaches such profound, important lessons. And I've noticed a lot that Chinese literature, even Japanese literature, really is very good at character development, like for us, our own moral development. It really is very hard hitting and straight to the point, like you know what you should do and thinking of others. And this book was fantastic. It was 5 stars for me, and I just noticed that she has another book coming out. I think we have to listen to that one too. So stay tuned for that. The next book that I read was The Forgetting by Sharon Cameron, and I, again, loved this book. I read Rook last year, loved it by this author. I read this one, and it was not what I expected. Every 12 years in this walled city, everyone loses their memory. So they all carry around books with them where they're supposed to write the truth of their life in it. So when they wake up and have forgotten everything, they can look back on their books and see who they are. Of course, it's not that simple. People can write whatever they want. They're supposed to write the truth, but they don't always. And this becomes a big thing because the girl, our protagonist Nadia, doesn't forget. She's never forgotten. So she's seen her family change and things change in this society, although it's a young adult book, so she's young. And the next forgetting is coming up, and she wants to do something about it. Now, I have to say the first 200 pages were not all that interesting. It was a little hard for me to get into because it reminds me a lot of The City of Ember in certain aspects. But then around the 200 page, things got different and intense. And then I was reading and I was like, wait a minute, how did I miss that? So there was a twist going on. I'm like, oh, and it went in a totally weird direction in a way that I'm not going to tell you what it was because it would spoil the fun. So I really enjoyed this book. 4 stars, I believe I gave it. And the book that I just finished yesterday and just, I love this trilogy. Can I say that? I love this trilogy. It is not highly rated enough, but Frost Like Night by Sarah Rosh. So I'm not going to tell you anything about this. You can go and read the summary. I will tell you that this was a very good conclusion to this trilogy, and things got wrapped up really nice, and I was happy. Yeah, I'm just going to leave it at that. I am, and through the beginning weeks of this month, have still been reading Great Expectations. I've discovered I really enjoyed listening to it. So I'm going to focus on that for the next couple days before Dewey's readathon. And hopefully I should be able to finish it because I'm over halfway through it and I am enjoying it. And I will put up a separate video for Dewey's. So as always, I hope everyone enjoys what they're reading and has a lovely month.